All right, another Thursday, another Fibery update. Let's see what we have today. First thing up is the contributor space access is being depreciated. Finally, this has been talked about for some time. It's not needed. There's entity level access control, which is really nice. So now if we go into our update sandbox over here, I think we'll see, architect, owner, editor, commenter, viewer, no contributor. What he's saying is contributors could only see, they no longer exist. Additionally, they can edit entities they have created or assigned to. So this can be done now just with other access control. So now it's there's less options what to choose from. So it's maybe a bit clearer. And they made a little migration guide. Nice. Here's something they also did. Edit entities you can create. So apparently now when you create a new database, so these ones are old, so they don't have the new stuff. So over here, created by has no access, but if I now go ahead and create a new database, the access of this database, created by is an editor, So here, create editor. By default, people now automatically get editor access database. Okay, so it's nice that there's two different things over here that explain how things work. I'm not the biggest fan of it automatically giving access. Like it's a higher risk to have giving people access to things by accident rather than accidentally not giving access to things. So this is just something to be aware of and maybe turning off. Generally, it's okay, but this makes sense. We regularly get questions like, why has the card I just created disappeared? Or why do I have to refresh the page to be able to edit the task I've just created? So now it solves that, because if you are the creator, you can edit. Then Michael goes on to say, if you don't necessarily want people to edit entities they create, you can disable the automatic access or revoke it on schedule. I personally recommend to not use this and instead use formulas or an automation that triggers a different one. Although I'm not sure if you do it by automation, I think that's why I went this route. Let me test something real quick. All right, so I just set it up. I gave another user access via the created by as an editor and also a submitter. So non-admin is a submitter. If I test and I create an open, it'll automatically open. I can directly edit. I think I see the difference here. The issue is if I do it in a different way with another field, which is what I was about to recommend, because then you can control more granularly, and it's more clear as to who has access and who doesn't. What I don't like about the revoke access, this one over here, the revoke access, or is the here. Inside a rule, what you can do is you can revoke access via created by. First of all, this is apparently just a pro feature, didn't know that. As well as, I don't like this because then it's harder for you to see and create a table and filter it by who has access to this. You need to then open per thing to check if they have access or not. I'm not the biggest fan of this. So instead, what I usually recommend is to create a different field for a person. And this is if you want more control. The other option is to just do a formula. Let's try it by formula. Submitter, we go created by. Now let's go over here, go access. We want it by submitter is the editor, not by the created by. All right, now let's take a look over here. When I create a new thing, create and open. See, this is the issue with the formulas. It's going to tell me you don't have access, and this doesn't hot reload. You have to reload, and that's what Michael was saying. You have to reload to be able to edit the thing you just submitted. I see. So that's why you would do it on the created by and not through a formula or through an automation. My 2 cents to that would be, honestly, to have this to somehow, I don't know how it would work, but having it work properly without needing to reload using a formula or an automation would be fantastic. Anyhow, we just passed the first thing. Let's go on to the next one. Cool. Hide empty no parent groups in smart photos, table list, and GAN view. When I first saw this, I got so confused, honestly. It's this little thing over here. Let me create, we have project, client task. Let's add a new view, table, client and tasks. So we already have this. We have client and we have the task inside the no client. Well, now there's this over here. Hide empty no ... groups. I think this is phrased, it makes it hard to understand. When you do this, it only hides the empty ones. So if, for example, there's no task, now this is hidden. But if this is off, it shows no client. And then you can go in and add a new task inside no client. Interesting. The only other way to make it disappear is if, for example, let's create a new task. is if within the task database, the parent is required, because then there's never a scenario when there is no parent or no client. So in this case, if we always require a value, you'll see that then this disappears. Maybe it needs a refresh. What? I swear it worked like this in the past. Am I missing something? New client inside. Ah, sorry. I made the wrong relationship required. Come on, refresh. I'm pretty sure in the past, the no parent would disappear whenever they're required field. So I'm not sure if I'm remembering wrong or if it changed now with this, because now it gives you control to hide it, but that's weird. In any case, I think it should disappear because there's no situation where there's going to be a group with no parent. It gets a bit confusing when you do things the other way around. So for example, if I'm going to show task group by client, there's two different filter options. There's hide empty groups, which are groups that are empty. So let's add a new client example. So when the example client is empty, this happen. What? Hide empty groups hides both now. Refresh. This group is empty. Correct. Now it works. Okay. So hide empty groups does this because both groups are empty. Hide empty groups. I think the main reason for this one is when it's more complicated hierarchy. So for example, if I do project by project as well as by task like this, then you'll see here if we just had the hide empty groups, these wouldn't hide. This one over here, no project, no client. If we had to hide empty groups, this doesn't hide because technically it's not an empty group because it has the no client inside of it. And if you have this one, now this hides this thing over here. I'm a bit confused as to why this can't just be inside, like why this functionality can't be in here, because technically no ... groups are also empty, so that should fall under the thing of empty groups. So I don't know why it's two toggles, if I'm being honest. Maybe because hide empty groups only works if you're using like the group by function, and this also works without the group by function, because this now technically isn't a group, but it's a hierarchy. This is a bit weird to me still, but I hope it makes sense to you. I don't know. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. This is a big one. This I'm really happy with. Files fields. So there's two things. I did read it before. I'm sorry. Next time I won't. I'll figure this out with you. Delete all files one click. Let's take a look at that. So let's say I have a file, these two files inside my test task. Then there's this button over here for delete all files. I still think these buttons should be up here and not in here. I don't know. Maybe now there's two, so maybe it makes sense to be here. But it's just weird to me that the markdown here is here, but the download is here. So let me just give editor access to people. What I find weird is that most users don't have access to this ... thing on the side. You see? Here I only have access to the markdown, this one and this one. Here I don't have the ... I don't have the ... But here I do have the ... But now I only have these two actions. So I find that a little weird. But at the same time, also here there are two actions. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Anyhow, let's go back to files. We have this delete all files, which is very nice, as well as now the ability to download all files across multiple sources. So now there are multiple entities. So let's say there's this one over here. This has a different file. Let's upload a file over here, such as this screen recording. And now we can, in the task itself, download all files. This was from last week. And now we can select multiple. And over here, there's the download all files. When we press on this, there's this little pop-up that I think could be designed better, if I'm going to be honest. I think for now I'll show you how it looks like without this checked. So you press this, then it's going to send you an email with all of the files, separated per entity, per file field, which is pretty awesome. Let's take a look at that. Let's see. Archive entities are ready. You download them. You have the test. You have the name of your, it's a weird name, the name of the view that I think you downloaded it from, as well as the date, the time, minutes and maybe seconds, I don't know. Then you have per folder, you have your field. So I had my files field called files, and then the files inside. So it provides a really nice file structure. But there's a big but coming. Something here still isn't ready, at least not yet. That's in context views. So let's go back over here. If I go into this client and I do multiple, when you're in relation views, this doesn't have this little pop-up over here for bulk actions. Bulk actions usually you can get to on right click, but for some reason the download all isn't available on right click quite yet, even with a single file, with a single entity. So here you can't right click and do download, but you can go over here and do download. So I'm guessing that's going to come to here as well. Not sure why it hasn't yet. So one limitation. All right, what else is new? Intercom integration, you can sync assigned users as native people field. Nice. HubSpot integration, sync owners and other user properties as native people field. Nice. I think this is a new feature that they're starting to implement across different integration based on needs. So if you have a need, you can let them know and maybe they can sync them into native people fields in Fibery. All right, and some bugs that if you did encounter, good for you. And I think that's okay. I won't go through all the bugs. It's already a long video. All right, those were today's updates. I hope you enjoyed. I hope they cleared things up. Today's updates were pretty self-explanatory, with some criticism, as you'll notice might come often with updates. I have my thoughts, and I'm not afraid to share them. But again, these are just my thoughts. Well, I hope you enjoyed. There's new videos hopefully coming before next week update, but let's see. And so stay tuned, and I'll see you again very soon.